Just moments ago, we told you about the horrors behind closed doors surrounding the so-called YouTube mom. Millions of viewers and neighbors had no idea it was happening, but DCS did know. Here's Zach Crenshaw with more of his investigation.
Not only did DCS fail to catch the abuse during their monthly visits when Machelle was fostering 14 kids over a decade, some until 2019, but the state agency was alerted over and over about visible signs of neglect and abuse. In this police investigation, detectives detailed the 11 times between 2011 and 2019 that teachers, siblings, even the kids themselves told DCS they needed help. 11 times the kids were left with Machelle. The first documented April 2011. A babysitter told DCS the kids yell and cry after Machelle will lock them in a bedroom. DCS found the details unsubstantiated. 2 years later, May 2013, one child told her teacher, Machelle makes her stand in the corner when she gets home from school until she has to beg. Finding unsubstantiated. A week later, another report from the school outlining 3 years of general neglect. The adopted daughter, with mild intellectual defects, told her inquiring teacher Machelle took her toothbrush, which is why there was gunk all over her teeth and gums. The teacher told the agency Machelle was rarely involved, but had a fear of harm and retaliation due to the report. That fear realized 3 days later, when, after a CPS visit to the home, Machelle contacted the school and withdrew the girl. Records reveal Machelle gloated to the teacher, saying, quote, the caseworker laughed at the allegation and did not take it seriously. Findings unsubstantiated.
Do you go to school?
Nope. I'm homeschooled, but I don't even do school homework at home or anything.
Back to the DCS reports, and a year later, August 2014, a Gilbert daycare tells DCS Machelle's foster kids are unbathed, covered in feces, and have infected blisters and rashes all over. Despite all the details, the findings, once again, unsubstantiated. 9 months later, April 2015, a foster child says that 2 years ago, Machelle, quote, threw a can of food at her head and it left a scar. Was the scar ever looked at? We don't know, but the findings, you guessed it, unsubstantiated. 3 months later, July 2015, DCS is told that one of Machelle's girls has serious bruising, a horrible rash, and another daughter appears to be starving. Again, nothing was done, unsubstantiated. The most egregious failure, though, happened December 2017. A boy ran from Machelle's Maricopa house naked to avoid another beating. Machelle took a risk and called 911. Officers found the child shivering in a backyard. He begged them not to take him home, saying, I'm being starved and pepper sprayed. Officer Michael Takagi documented the kid's disclosures, writing, quote, she keeps them out of school so officials don't see bruises or hits them in areas that are not visible. Then he called DCS. 6 days later, a DCS worker finally did a welfare check. Reports show she was told ahead of time, quote, mother is reported to know CPS and will brief the children and tell them she will hurt them if they say anything. How, after all of those details, Machelle managed to keep the kids is a mystery. But her older biological daughters told officers this in 2019.
Every time it happens, they give her a heads up. They tell her what's happening because she's a part of the foster care system. They interviewed the kids right in front of her, right in front of my mother.
DCS yet again found that abuse unsubstantiated, and they refused to give us any records, even after Hobson died due to health issues in late 2019.
They want to keep this information under wraps.
In hindsight, there was some mistakes.
Maricopa PD also failed on multiple accounts. Officer Takagi never recategorized the juvenile problem to criminal abuse, so detectives were never flagged to investigate. His lieutenant, Mary Turner, also failed to review the report and catch his mistake. 2 years later, a supervisor would write, the children were subject to more abuse because of their failures. In fact, Machelle retaliated. The kids told detectives in 2019 that after that runaway incident, Mom got mad. She put us in that room for a really long time. I think it lasted more than a day. So we got scared to tell again, because that was after the cops came once. For all their mistakes, Lieutenant Turner and Officer Takagi were suspended without pay for 10 hours, a single shift.
Does that seem like appropriate punishment to you, given how many more months the kids suffered?
Unfortunately, when we make mistakes as a police, the stakes are high. And we can't make that hurt go away. We have to own that and move on.
They shirked their responsibility, and sadly, these children had to live in this sort of torturous environment for far too long.
I spanked the child, what? No crime in the house? No.
It's important to acknowledge the kids told police Hobson was a manipulator.
Ms. Hobson specifically chose children that had significant mental health issues, knowing full well that those with significant mental health issues are going to be less believable.
You're not telling me what was said.
No, I'm not going to tell you because there's an investigation.
Machelle would show DCS investigators the stocked fridge and packed pantry, but the kids say they were being starved, still fearful to eat even after officers arrived in 2019.
We're going to protect you. Is there anything in here that you want to eat right now while we're waiting? It's seriously anything. Look, you got some chips.
She's going to smell my breath in the
No, she's not. No, she's not. No, she's not. You are not going to talk to Mom right now.
The children also said Machelle forced them to lie.
Last time CPS and cops came, I wanted to tell them the truth, but they wouldn't let. My mom told me to say all lies, and if I didn't say lies, she threatened me and said she was going to kill me.
Even with those lies, though, Pastor says DCS should have gotten to the truth.
The idea that, children lied and therefore we couldn't have known, well, that's contrary to everything that they're trained to do, which is to look at the totality of the circumstances, and you begin to put together and you say, hey, there's something going on here. We need to look more closely.
But a closer look never happened.
As a result, we had a number of young children that suffered potentially irreparable harm.
It's harm that will last a lifetime.
The court said this is a person that you can trust, and they were violated so horribly.
Many I've spoken with say Arizona's Department of Child Safety needs massive changes to better protect kids.
Because there weren't adequate resources, they cut corners or they made judgment calls, and as a result, these children got harmed.
We probably report to DCS, I would say, at least 5 times a day. And then you magnify that across the state.
The Arizona legislature, year in and year out, has not given these caseworkers the resources, the training, the payment and salary they need to make sure children are safe.
DCS denied all of my records requests, citing confidentiality, even though Hobson is dead and the children are anonymous.
We deserve to know, why are so many children in the DCS system being hurt?
DCS Director Mike Faust also declined our multiple requests for an interview.
You can't have accountability unless you have transparency. And DCS is an organization that we know one thing. They do not like this type of information finding its way into the public domain.
Do you think any of the kids should live there?
No. I think they're not safe there.
The older sister called this cell phone video a, quote, last-ditch effort to save her siblings.
I want to get them out of there, and I don't want CBS to play their games.
I want all my other sisters and brothers to be in a safe home.
I love you, and I don't even know you.
I love you too, because you're saving me from this house.
I know, baby.
But the larger question remains.
Will we ever know how DCS handled this internally?
I hope so. I sincerely hope so, because it's not just these kids, it's all the other kids who are still in DCS care.
It's been 2 years now since Hobson was arrested. 2 years for DCS to reflect on all of those unsubstantiated reports, those missed opportunities to save the children sooner. Not only did the agency deny all of our interview and public records requests, they declined to answer if any changes have been made or any employees held accountable. You can read their full statement, as well as more exclusive details, on our website. Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
Even though DCS would not comment on this story, we plan to ask the governor and lawmakers what they make of the state agency repeatedly failing to remove the kids. We'll have much more on this story in the coming weeks.